Hey everybody, and welcome back to my weekly reading vlog. And we're starting this vlog late again. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday at 11:30 at night. It's been really busy. Like there's just I keep saying that it's really busy, and then I look back on the days and I'm like, yeah, I am productive, but like I was I that productive? I don't know. I mean, I'm getting stuff done, but like, oh, enough that I can excuse starting this reading vlog so late. I don't know. I don't know. But because I am starting this reading vlog late and because I actually did put effort into reading, I have quite a bit to share with you. So we're just going to run through everything a little bit quickly. So Archie by Mark Waid. I actually read volumes 2 and 3, and these are good. They're a really good modernization, but I'm finding that because it is definitely like it's young adult, it's high school drama, hijinks kind of stuff, and I'm just not about that. Like I just don't do the high school drama, and especially like as I get older, and especially as my older child gets closer to this kind of drama. He is now like 10, so we still have a couple years. But like the closer he gets to it, the less I really want to read it. It's good, it's just not my thing anymore. So I read these. I'm glad that I read them. I'm still planning on continuing this series, but I'm not enjoying them as much as I was hoping to, and I'm not enjoying them as much as I did when I first read these comics, since they are a reread. So like the first time I read them, they were 4 stars. This time I put them more in like the 3.5 category, which is unfortunate, but like we grow older, we change, and this is apparently one of the ways that I have changed. The Another book that I have actually finished is Twisted by Emma Dabiri, The Tangled History of Black Hair Culture. And this is an adult nonfiction, and it's good. It just wasn't, I wish I had held off on reading this because, so the writing style is very normal for nonfiction. However, I really struggled with it. To understand what was being said. Like it took a lot of work for me to understand, which is normally fine. But the stuff that I'm learning that was in this about black hair and black culture was stuff that I didn't know. And so I'm trying to learn all this stuff that is very new to me and trying to do it in a writing style that doesn't work. And I was just like, and I think it would have been better if it had been like a straight up history, but it's not a straight up history. It's a series of essays that uses like history, like it explains some of the history, but it more uses it to make a point. And like that's fine. It's just not quite what I was hoping for, and it wasn't quite the thing that would have been best for me to read at this particular point. So like I'm glad I read it. I've learned a lot. I kind of wish I had held off on it because I think I would have gotten more out of it if I had a little bit more base of knowledge going into it. Although I will say that if you generally do just fine with nonfiction, especially the writing style, then this is probably going to be pretty good for you because you won't be struggling with that part of it like I did. I think it was just like all of these factors together just made it really difficult for me to read. I didn't end up rating this because I felt a little weird rating down something that I struggled with when it wasn't the fault of the book in any way. So I just opted to not rate this, but I did read it. I enjoyed it as much as I could. I did learn. And yeah, there you go. And then comes the update on Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennet, which has been this is a buddy read with Julie. And I'm on page 233. And it's fine. So I've only read like a little bit more in this than last week, like 25 pages or so. And it's fine. It's still fine. So this book is about our main character, Sanchia, who's a thief, and she steals something and then realizes it's actually a really powerful magical object, and in the wrong hands, it would be awful. So she doesn't actually turn it over to the people who hired her, and she kind of ends up kind of going underground and running into a mishmash of people who apparently she's going to ally herself with. Not really sure. But like, as I've said before, the writing style is very youthful. It feels like a young adult writing style, but the topics and what's being addressed is pretty adult at points. So that's kind of a weird thing. I don't love any of the characters at this point. I do find one of them interesting, but she's not even like a main character. She's a very side character. So, I mean, that's a thing. It is very, very action heavy, and the action actually, it's one of those things where you read these action scenes and you think a lot happens, and then you actually like think about what happened and you realize, oh no, there was like almost no plot in that. And so this is actually at this point kind of a plot light book, which is very, very surprising. Like, I guess the thing is, like, there's definitely been plot, but not 200 pages worth of plot. So yeah, and then there's the world building. It's got a very unique magic system, which I do think is very interesting. It is very similar to like coding, a computer kind of thing, but I've been having problems with it and I couldn't figure out why. And I think I know, and it's because, so this magic system is like, they posit that this magic system kind of came about like from events that happened a long time ago, but it's all legend and stuff. But how they think that the world came about, I don't necessarily agree with. I don't necessarily buy it, I guess. And since like the magic system came from that event, I'm just like, I don't know that I really like the magic system, which is a thing. So I'm still reading this. Obviously, it's a buddy read. I will continue on reading it. It is really easy. It is really enjoyable when I'm reading it. It's just like when I pull back, I don't think that there's a lot there. There's just not a lot of plot. I'm not loving the world building. I don't love the characters. So it's fine. And then I did pick up one more book to read alongside Foundryside, and that is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. And this is the first book in the First Law trilogy. And like, there's not a good description for this book. I read the back and it's really just a list of characters and not really what they're going to be doing. And I am, let's see, I'm 126 pages in. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. Like I feel like there is a plot. I don't really know what it is though. Because right now, basically we have 3 main perspective characters and we're flipping between them and following them in what they're doing. But we don't really have any idea why at this point. So I assume there's a plot. I don't really know what the plot is. The characters are fine. Like, I think Logan Ninefingers is interesting enough, and Inquisitor Glockta is interesting enough. I hate the other character that we follow, Captain Jezel Dan Luther. Don't like him. He's a gigantic jerk. So whenever we switch to his perspective, I'm really unhappy. And it is an easy read. There isn't much world building. I don't know what the plot is, so I can't tell you if the plot is good or not. The characters are fine. So I don't really know what to think about this book because generally 125 pages in, I know more about what's going on. I have more of an understanding of like the characters and the world and what the plot is and where we're going to be going. And I don't really feel like I have a grasp on any of that in this particular book. Now, when I'm reading it, I do find it interesting. I just don't know what the point is. And so, partially because I don't know what the point is, I am struggling to hold on to details. So, I don't know. Like, this is interesting, and I'm going to continue reading it with the hopes that it does get better. But I don't know, you guys. This is weird. It's interesting enough. I don't know. I just don't know. So that is everything that I've read, everything that I've started. You'll have all the updates now. I'm really hoping to focus on reading this week. I did decently okay in the last couple of days. I would like to continue that trend because I would love to finish the Blade itself this week and then get further on in Foundryside, so that I have all of next week to read Abaddon's Gate by James S.A. Corey, which is going to be the next one on my list. And yeah, those are kind of my goals. I am hopeful. It's been so hot here that like my family has been hibernating indoors. So I should have time to read, hopefully. So we shall see how it goes. But that is it for this update. So I will check in with you again later. Bye. Hey everybody, it is now Saturday at about 1 o'clock, and I am going to go ahead and wrap this reading vlog up a little bit early, mostly because I am expecting some guests to come in a little bit later this evening, and I didn't really want to bank on them being so tired that they would go to bed early so that I would have enough time to film this. So we're just going to wrap it up early, but I do at least have some updates. First and foremost, Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennet. I'm not that much further. I'm on page 252. Mostly I'm just trying to match Julie's pace because I don't feel any urge to pick this up really. So in this last chapter that I read, we did finally get some really interesting backstory on our main character. But even as I was noticing that it was really interesting, I was also irritated that it had taken almost 250 pages to get this information. Like, it wouldn't have been so bad if we had other background that we had been given along the way, but it was just so minimal that it felt like too little too late, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of finding that out, like, and especially because Sanchia has basically met up with this group and like the gang's all together, right? And we don't know a ton about any of the members of this gang. So I'm not really connected to the characters, even though I do find the group to be interesting, definitely more interesting than they are like as individuals. I'm not feeling compelled by it because I don't have any connection to these characters. So yeah, still finding that the balance of this book just does not really work for me. So I'm mostly just kind of matching how Julie is reading, like as she continues on, then I do as well. And that's fine for me for now. Which I'm mostly doing that because I'm also trying to get further along in the Blade itself. So with this book, I'm on page 195. I was hoping to be done. That's clearly not happened. And with this particular book, I'm struggling. Like, I'm struggling a little bit. I like two of the perspective characters well enough. Although I find them interesting, but again, I don't find it compelling. One of the perspective characters I really don't like. I'm finding that I just don't like to be in the head of people who are just kind of tools. That's really what Captain Jezel's kind of a big tool, and like I just don't like it. He's kind of dumb and arrogant, and it's not really fun. It's well written, and I can understand why people would still like it even if they don't like the character. But like for me personally, I just don't like to be in the head of that kind of character. So like a third of the perspectives, I'm just like, no. But the other part is that I'm really struggling with is for me, the best way for me to hold on to details of a story is to understand how it fits into a bigger picture. And with this book, we're basically following three different storylines, but we don't know how they fit in the bigger picture. We don't know how they come together at the end, even though you kind of know they're going to. And so I am struggling to keep all the details in my head because like it doesn't make sense to me. Like I can't see the bigger picture. I can't put them in that context. And so I'm not holding on to them as well as I would like. And I'm sitting here going, I don't understand the point. That's like where I'm at. Like, what is the point? I don't know. Now I am continuing to read it because I do want to see how it ends. I am interested enough to see how it ends, but it's just not really been a particularly enjoyable read. Like it's fine, it's just not, again, it's not compelling. So not as far as I would like to be, but it's okay. So then on like Thursday night, I think, I was so tired of reading things that I wasn't loving that I was just like, I'm gonna pick up something easy and fun and just read it real quick and like get back in the groove of reading. And I picked up Phoenix Rising by Pip Ballantine and T. Morris, the first book in the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences series. And this is a series that I've read. I read like 8 to 10 years ago. I really liked it. It's steampunk, which is already like a warning sign there because I don't do well with steampunk anymore. But in this particular, we're following our two main characters, Books and Braun. And Books is the lead archivist. He does this for the ministry. Braun is a field agent, and basically the ministry kind of investigates unusual occurrences, peculiar occurrences. And they end up partnering with each other, and the story kind of goes from there. And I DNF this at page 50. The writing style just does not work for me anymore. Steampunk tropes are the things that I don't really love anymore. It's a lot like urban fantasy. It's not that I can never love an urban fantasy again, or I can never love a steampunk again, but the tropes that the genre is kind of built on are things that I just don't really do as well with anymore. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this particular book. As well as it just needed to be edited. There were multiple typos where I had it was so wrong that I got pulled out of the story. I had to go back and reread the sentence, figure out it was a typo, and then like fix it in my head and then move on, which is just it. I probably would have been annoyed, but okay if I had been liking this book otherwise. But because I wasn't loving it, honestly, it was irritating. The characters themselves, I don't really like them. I don't like the writing style. It's pretty typical for steampunk. Steampunk just isn't my thing anymore. So I DNF'd this, which I thought maybe we could get through June without a DNF, and no. Actually, the saddest part about this, okay, here we go. The saddest part about this is that this is a reread, right? And I was going to reread it to finish up the series because I had read the first 3 books. I owned number 4 and had never read it, and then I was going to read the rest. Well, if I DNF the first book, obviously I'm not going to read the other 2 that I had already reread, or that I had already read first, and I'm not going to read the 4th book. So that means like I was gifted this book that I ended up never reading, which is so irritating. It's okay. Like there's going to be 4 more books off of my shelf, which in some ways is kind of nice. Like it's one less thing that I'm like thinking about, I guess. But yeah. So that didn't work out as well as I was hoping it to. And then lastly, I did pick up Archie Volume 4 by Mark Waid and illustrated by Pete Woods. And so this is obviously the next volume in this series, and this is the last one that I have actually read before. So anything going on or going from now on will be something new for me, which is interesting. I thought that this was generally interesting. It was a very quick read. This one, like, so the Archie comics in general are not particularly dialogue heavy, but this one specifically was definitely like lighter on the dialogue. It's just like, I mean, there's dialogue. It's just not as much a thing. I'm trying to like make sure I'm not spoiling. Like, it's just, so it was such a quick read. I like that we dealt with the aftermath of Volume 3. There was a very dramatic storyline, very high school drama. And so we were dealing a little bit with the aftermath, and I thought it was realistic and interesting. And then the latter half of this volume definitely set up for this storyline that we kind of get into and leave at a cliffhanger, which I'm just like, seriously? But it's okay. And so, like, I think that I stopped at Volume 4 only because, like, I was waiting for Volume 5 to come out. And now, like, and I was irritated that it was a cliffhanger because Volume 5 wasn't out. But now I can continue on. So yeah, I liked this well enough. I still think it's a really good modernization. It's just, like, again, not really my thing because of high school dramatics. Like, but there's thunder. Apparently we're having a thunderstorm right now. So I will continue because it's only 2 more volumes to finish out the series, and I am enjoying it well enough. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. But that's it. So that's what I have been reading this week. Not doing well on, like, actually finishing things, except for comics. But obviously I will continue on with the Blade itself. I will continue on with Foundryside. This is probably going to go pretty slow still. And then this one, I don't know. It's really hard to, like, want to read this book. So I will have these 2 going. I might pick up a third. I might continue doing Archie. I might pick up something else that I actually really enjoy. I don't know. I don't know. And I also honestly don't know how much I'm going to read next week because I have guests coming for the weekend and then other stuff. So I have no idea. But that is it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, let me know if you have any thoughts or feelings about what I'm reading, let me know what you're reading, but that's all I have. So until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video.